UFC London. If these fighters existed in Skyrim, who would they be? Let's take a look at some of these UFC London fighters and find out who they would be in Skyrim. Skyrim has been one of the most influential and important games of the past 15 years. Despite being quite old at this point, it has never stopped trending. It has never gone out of style. It has never gone out of fashion. But let's take a look at these UFC London fighters and see where they would fit into the ethos of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Rocky Leon Edwards, one of our favorite fighters, a man who has one of the best stories, rags to riches, got into this sport just to keep busy and ended up falling in love with it. And he is one of those people, even when he's 5 rounds down, he can still come back to life and win the match. And that's why Leon Edwards is a necromancer. You can't stop him. He will raise from the dead to knock you out. Being completely defeated does not stop Leon Edwards. And then the question becomes, what do you do with a win with Leon? Does he fight for a title right away if he is able to get the win against Sean Brady? I don't entirely know, because the top of welterweight is starting to get a little bit interesting with a few top contenders there. There's not a clear path to the title, but I don't know that a lot of people are really clamoring for a rematch against Bilal Muhammad. But maybe that's the most deserving if he does defeat Sean Brady. I don't know. Let me know what you think of what to do with a Leon Edwards if he wins. But let's talk about his opponent, Sean Brady. Sean Brady is a welterweight wrecking ball. The guy is like, his chest and lat spread, like you could project a movie screen onto this guy's back. Like he's got a huge, man, he is a big guy for this weight class, and he is a hard hitter who's aggressive, always coming forward and looking to knock you out with a clean overhand right coming over the jab. And that's why he is a Dwarven Centurion. Heavy hitting, unstoppable, aggressive. This guy is made of steel. So in this matchup, in the main event, I guess you got a Necromancer versus a Dwarven Centurion. And actually, that's actually pretty good. That's a good matchup right there. Still remember the first few times you go through those Dwarven ruins and run into a Centurion. Ugh, changes the way you think about things. That was way stronger than I expected. Man, I was a young man back then, you know? Let's talk about the co-main event here. You have Jan Blachowicz going to be taking on Carlos Ulberg. Now, Jan Blachowicz is a all-around great fighter who mainly specializes in striking with a Muay Thai and kickboxing background, who is effective in striking not fully because of his power or speed, due to his intelligence. He's also been in there with the very best fighters in the division and never backs down from a great war. What I also particularly like about him is that he uses enchantments in real life to gain an edge, right? He uses the Hangman's Noose, which gives you a +5 in survivability. It brings you a +5 in luck. He is literally a guy using enchantments in real life. Now, who is he in Skyrim? Well, of course, Jan Blachowicz. He is the Witcher. He is Geralt of Rivia, but that's not quite the question that we're trying to get at here. He is Feldir. Now, Feldir is a Nordic hero who has passed away, but he is a Nordic barbaric hero who still lives in Sovngarde due to the great battles he won, and he was one of the instrumental figures who helped defeat the dragons in Skyrim the first time around. So I couldn't think of a better figure for Jan Blachowicz. A little bit of an older man, a little bit of a battle-tested veteran. That's just perfect. So he is Feldir. Now he's going to be taking on Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg is awesome to watch. Just a bit of a knockout machine, tactical, aggressive, forward. I like his style quite a bit, and this is going to be a great fight. And in Skyrim, I think Carlos Ulberg is a cave bear. This man is scary. You have to be careful around him. He is dangerous at any level, whether you are a high level or coming up as a low level. He is a dangerous, dangerous figure. We got a cave bear versus Feldir in the co-main event, and that's going to be an absolute battle right there. It is very vital for us to figure out where Jan Blachowicz is. If he is in his prime, this should be a winnable fight, but with the time away, we really don't know with age where he is. Now, he is competing at light heavyweight, so you know, he might have 10 more years ahead of him. Like, think about like Randy Couture and Glover, you know? Jan might be fighting for 10 more years, but this is going to be a very important matchup. And Carlos Ulberg, very good all-around kickboxer. We're going to find out where he is. This is a great fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. Gunnar Nelson, everyone's favorite Icelandic fighter because they only know one fighter from Iceland. He's actually a relatively popular figure in Iceland, and you have to think about it's a country of 300,000 people, so I bet most of them know who Gunnar Nelson is. It's just a very small, tight-knit community. He's grappled against Half Thor, the strongest man alive, who was in Game of Thrones. Now, he came up in the UFC debut in 2012, and now I think he's like 36 or something like that. He's on the other side of the age bracket, and he hasn't fought for 2-3 years or something now. Now, if he was in his prime, I would easily pick him to defeat Kevin Holland, but I have no idea where he is. I don't know if he's coming off of an injury or an illness or whatever it might be, but a few years away, above the 35 club, got a few miles. I'm not super confident in my pick of Gunnar Nelson. But now in the game, he is Farengar Secret Fire. He is the gentleman that you run into at the castle in Whiterun, who is studying magic, and he is studying dragons, and he's enchanting objects as well. He is considered the court wizard and gives you a bunch of quests. And the reason I think that is because I think he's kind of the brains behind a lot of SBG Ireland, and he never leaves the castle, because where the hell has Gunnar Nelson been? We haven't seen this guy in forever. He's just been in the lab. And he's going to be taking on Kevin Holland, very popular fighter, and for good reason. He's accurate. He's always aiming for the knockout. His knockout of people like Charriere, keeps you up at night because of just how insanely cool it is. He is a forward pressure, aggressive fighter who falls behind a little bit on the back foot. Now, he's good in every area, but he really wants to be striking with you. So he's very aggressive and forward. He is all offense with just a little bit of defense. And that's why he's a Dragon Priest. Very scary opponent, great endgame boss. You need to be very careful when fighting them, but they will fall apart when pushed in the right spots. Very fast, very aggressive, experts in their craft. But yes, it's more of a compliment. I know. The thing is that we all talk a little bit about Kevin Holland of like he does X and Y so well, but he really struggles with A and B and C. It's because we see him fight so much that we get to see all those things happen. And I'm happy to see him fight. I will always tune in for a Kevin Holland fight. He's a fan favorite for a reason. And I will always fight a Dragon Priest because they're super fun to fight against. Still remember the first time I played Skyrim. I was working in the video game store. I used to work at EB Games as an assistant manager there. And I was working the midnight release for the game. So, that was 11/11/11. Like, it's so easy to remember. November 11th, 2011. So easy to remember. And I had bought the special edition, which came with a big dragon stand, which I think ended up in the garbage ultimately, but it cost like $150. It's a waste of money. It came with an art book as well. I think I got the strategy guide, and then I played it. I booted it up like 2 a.m. after taking care of the midnight release. I don't even think I typed in my name before going to bed, and I want to say I called in sick the next day to work just to play Skyrim all day, but it was an incredible experience the first time, especially coming from Oblivion. Oblivion was one of those games that, changed our lives. But yeah, Skyrim was whereas Oblivion changed your life, Skyrim was your best friend. It's always there for you. Alexia Thainara from Brazil, the knockout striker who's always looking to finish a fight. She is aggressive. Now, Alexia Thainara has a name that would fit perfectly in Skyrim already, right? Alexia Thainara could be a character in the Thalamar in Skyrim. You know what I mean? That would just fit perfectly in. People are like, I'm really suspicious of those Thalamar. That Alexia Thainara, she's up to something. So I'm of two minds because I want to pick her as Ayla the Huntress because she's always looking for a finish or always aiming for the knockout, or is she a Thalamar? Now, Thalamar are very smart and patient and taking their time and setting their pieces. So I don't think it fits perfectly, and that's why I like the Huntress more, but I've never heard a better name for Thalamar than Alexia. And she is going to be facing Meatball Molly McCann. Now, Meatball Molly McCann certainly been around for a minute or so at this point. Maybe on the other side of her career, but she is a game fighter. And she is a great and strong gatekeeper where if you beat her, you're probably ready for a title shot. And if you lose to her, that's okay. You'll hang out in the top 15 kind of range. But if you lose to her, you need to start getting better. So she is a game fighter, been around for a minute, incredibly strong gatekeeper, also a fan favorite. And that's why I picked her as a Draugr Deathlord. Draugr Deathlords are the highest level of Draugr. They are ancient warriors, but they are kind of like end dungeon bosses where you really do need to know how to beat them to get to the higher levels. And I think that's why Meatball Molly McCann, former Subway employee, mind you, is a Draugr Deathlord. Nathaniel Wood. Now, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch, especially since he's gone up in weight. He is a striking dynamo. He is mixing high and low well, inside-outside leg kicks with combination punching high and low. I love to watch this guy fight. And in his current weight class, he is coming in undersized, but it hasn't made him any weaker. He has a speed advantage over everybody that he's fought so far, and he is dangerous against anyone. And that's why he is a dwarven spider. Dwarven spiders are small, they are fast, and they are always dangerous. And if you're not careful, they will defeat you every single time out. Now, Nathaniel Wood, huge fan of him. Given the name, I wanted to say he's a wood elf, but I just don't think it works as well. He is a dwarven spider, folks. Morgan Charriere from France is going to be fighting Nathaniel Wood. Really entertaining and great fighter, knockout striker, always aiming for the finish. He is a forward pressure fighter, goes by the name The Last Pirate. And that's why in Skyrim, he would be either a corsair or a pirate. Very easy one right there. He made it so easy for me with his nickname, and it's just perfect. Being a corsair or a pirate, dangerous at any level, will attack you, is always aggressive. Perfect. Morgan Charriere from France, big fan. How about Shauna Bannon, the former Invicta fighter, now in the UFC with quite a good record. I think a fitting figure for her in Skyrim is Ulfina Greymane. You can find her in Whiterun, of course part of the Greymane family, and I mean, look at her. It looks like they just tried to put her in the game. That looks just like her. That literally, Ulfina Greymane and Shauna Bannon looks fairly similar, especially given this game is 15 years old. Puja, Tomar. Huge fan of this figure. Sharp, aggressive, always aiming for a finish, and dangerous in every area. She is a flame Atronach. Someone to be feared. If you're not careful, she will put you away. This is a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about Guram Kutateladze from Georgia. This guy could be in Skyrim already. You wouldn't even have to change his name or his look for him to fit in Skyrim. He could be a bandit in Skyrim. He could be a Nord rebel in Skyrim. You could just take his face and beard and body, put him right into Fallout, and he would just fit in perfectly. And again, you wouldn't have to change his name. Guram Kutateladze is such a good name for any of the Elder Scrolls or Fallout games. This guy might as well have been born in Skyrim and pulled out to be in real life. So who would he be in Skyrim other than maybe himself? He is Warlord Gethric, the highest level single boss of Draugr in the game. Simply a warlord who loves to fight, entertaining, and maybe a little bit underrated. Keep your eye on Guram Kutateladze. Folks, appreciate you joining me for UFC London in Skyrim. We will be back in coming weeks doing more UFC events in Skyrim. Now, I'm going to be at UFC London this weekend, so shout out any questions that you do have, folks. My name is Tim Wheaton. Appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much.